Hey everybody, Professor Steins here, and today I kind of got a goal to walk through how to read data in JavaScript. So I have three files here: a CSV file, a Json file, and an XML file, and I've already worked it out once. And the goal here is just to kind of create a bulleted list that has some hyperlinks to some different schools. So I'm going to try to do it three different ways to kind of show how it's done three different ways. One with a CSV file, one with a JSON file, and then one with an XML file. Probably do XML file second. So anyway, these guys won't work anymore. I've killed the server off. The only thing I do kind of have still up and running in the browser and ready to go is these three files. So I'm going to start by opening up my command line by typing in cmd into the path here. This should open up my command line. Now, I'm going to use Visual Studio Code for this example. I think it might help me keep my files a little bit more organized and give me some text highlighting. So this is, let's see if I can bump up sizes here. Maybe make this like 18. Hopefully that won't be too big. I think I gotta put it over here. Make that like 18. Yeah, that ought to make it nice and big. So this is my CSV file, and basically CSV stands for comma separated values. There's text on the front, comma in between the value, and then a value on the end. I have two values here, one for the name of the university, one with the link to where it needs to go. So I'm going to create kind of a file in here to read the CSV file. And it's going to be kind of a website file. Whoop. I created a folder, didn't I? Dang it. File. Read csv.htm. And just kind of throw up a page here, read CSV, closing tag, kind of a div for some output maybe, output. But most of the work is going to happen in the JavaScript file, so I'm just going to put a script tag in here. And it's going to start off pretty much like every other JavaScript file we've done. Is when the window loads, we want to call an init function, and we need to kind of go up and define that function init. And when this guy runs, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to pull in that file and read it. So to do that, what we're going to have to do is define some objects we probably aren't used to using, and one of them is the HTML or XML HTTP request object. So I'm going to do that this way, and that's var xshpp, or just give it a variable name, doesn't really matter. It's a new object, and this is going to have to be pretty exact. HTTP request. There we go. And we're going to put a listener on it, just like a click handler or a hover handler, but this one's going to be on ready state change. This means when this guy changes, this request object changes, we'll want to execute kind of our own function, and we'll define that secondly. So when that happens, we'll have to do some other things too, because this request, we're sending a request, it's changed, we've gotten it, but we also need to make sure that it is a good request, and to do that, that's checking the ready state, making sure that it is equal to 4, and that the status is equal to 200. If you're kind of wondering where I'm getting this from, a good place to look for this might be on W3 Schools site. W3 Schools XML HTTP request probably should lead you to a lot of what's going on. See, I probably got a little refreshed before making the video. So it'll kind of walk you through what's going on here. I'm kind of walking through the logic for it. So first thing we got to do is we got to make a variable to hold this request object and set a handler on it for when it changes. And a status of 4 and status of 200 means that it's good and it's okay. And then once that happens, we should be able to pull out the response text and do something with it. So right now I'm just going to do that down to the console, console.log, this.response text. On the outside. So this is the handler for when a change occurs, but we also need to actually send the change, which is what the second part here is doing, is we're going to find our file and send it. So, wow, the indenting drives me crazy here. So that's xhep.open. We need to pass in a get or a post. We're going to be getting the file in this case. The file name is going to be mycsv.text. And yeah, we kind of want to hold on to it. So do that there. And then we need to send it. So let's try to run this page and see what happens. Just like in other labs, we're going to have difficulty if we try to run this page directly in Chrome. We're probably not going to get anything out of it. Maybe a cross-origin request cannot load file. Cross-origin request. This is kind of a bug in Chrome. I think it would work if we did this in Firefox. Pretty sure. We will see. Inspect and look at the console. We can see a couple lines of text there. That's there. It's throwing a syntax error on line 1 of the text file. That's weird. So anyway, another way to kind of work around that might be to run it as a web server. So I might kick that up under HTTP server, which is in Node. This is kind of creating a Node server. Just change this to localhost 8080. Nope. There we go. So it comes out on the console. It's still kind of fresh from last time. It comes down on the console what was in the text file, in the CSV file, which is this right here, even with the little commas in it. But now that I'm reading it in my JavaScript file, I should be able to do something with it. So I might start off by, let's create a variable called lines, and we're going to take this .response text and split that based on the new line character. So, and let's throw that down on the console to see what that does. Console.log lines. So if I look at it, what I get is I get an array with each row chopped up into the array. So Middle Georgia's line 1, 2, and 1, 0, 1, and 2. There's 3 items in the array. It even says that it's an array. So that's good. Now let's create an output variable here, var string out, and we'll start it up with it being kind of a UL tag. And we'll have to close that tag later, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now so I don't forget. Close that tag. Let's also go ahead and just write it out to the page. Document get element by ID, output, enter HTML is going to be equal to this string out variable that we're building up. So if I do that, I should at least get inside output a UL tag with nothing in it, which is good. I got an array in lines, and that's good. So what I'll want to do is loop through those lines and display them on the page. So that would be with a for loop starting at 0 for as long as I is less than the number of lines that we have, lines.length, and kind of adding to it each time through the loop. We'll want to kind of increase, add to this string out variable, maybe on a couple lines, so I might put it in there a couple times. And what we'll want to do is create a list item with a hyperlink tag in there. Let's see, take that one out there. And close it here. Target equals single quote underscore blank. And maybe close the A and then close the LI. So if I kind of look at that and match where my single quotes are, I think I'm going to take that one out. This one here is a single quote. This is a double quote. Double quotes are ending the strings in JavaScript, and single quotes are ending the strings in HTML. So my target is going to be in between these two lines, and then you can kind of see a little bit more plainly here. Target equals blank is in single quotes. And okay, hold on. I'm confusing myself. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So essentially what I want to add is I want to be able to split lines up. I need to kind of do that again. I need a split on the comma character. So I'm going to call a variable fields, and take lines, sub I, the one that we're looking at in the for loop right now, and split that based on comma. In which case, where I'm looking for in the array, that's item 1. That would be field sub 1. And what I want to say in the field is going to be the first one, 0. So all goes according to plan. We got a linked list here. UL, LIs, A tags inside of it. Everything looks pretty good here. Still got that console log here from response tags. That's probably fine. And the links should work when I click on them, so that's good. So that's kind of how to read out of a CSV file, print it out on the page. Hopefully that didn't take too long. Hopefully the other ones won't be as bad either. I'm going to clean this up a little bit, pull some of this spacing out, try to get it all on, maybe on one screen. Some comments in here might help, but I think that works out pretty well. So let me take a copy of this guy and make a new one. And we're going to rename this one to read XML instead. Read XML. It should be the same file. I'm going to change some quick things in it. Of course, CSV is going to be XML up here at the top. We're going to be wanting to read my XML.xml, which is this file. This is the format for XML. The first line is going to be a declaration, kind of declaring it as XML version and an encoding type at the top. And then XML is a lot like HTML in that it's tags. The cool part about it, though, is that you get to choose what tags you want to call what. So I'm collecting a couple of sites here. Each of them are schools, and they have a name and a website. So that's kind of how I decided to structure my XML. It's kind of a sites tag that contains all of the school tags, and then each school tag kind of has their own tag. So in read XML, we're going to be doing the same thing, although most of this is not going to work. I'm going to take out the for loop, and I'm also going to take out this split. And that's really kind of maybe about it I'm going to start with. So now that we're kicked up on localhost, let me go back and look at the root. And we're running read XML this time. If we look down at the bottom, this is the XML. The console.log is still taking the response text of the file that's being sent. And that's what it looks like down here. There's also a response XML. If we were to change text to XML, we'll actually get in the console a nice little nested HTML debugger similar to what's under the Elements tab for HTML. So this can kind of help us look through our XML document and kind of see how it's structured and some of its properties. So we want to kind of do the same thing this time. We want to make a list of things that are there. We're throwing out the XML file, which is pretty much everything that's there. But let's see what we can pull out of it. I'm going to start by declaring a variable schools, and we're going to look at this.response XML and get elements, not by ID. We have been getting elements by ID, but this time I'm going to get them by tag name. And the tag name I'm looking for is school. And let's throw that down on the console and take a look at what it looks like. Console.log schools. Oops, something is not a function on line 10. Get elements. Elements with an S by tag name. There we go. So we got 3 schools. It's a HTML collection. It's kind of similar to an array, maybe a specialized array, but it's kind of the same deal. It's 3 schools that are inside of it, and each school kind of has all these crazy amount of values that go with it. We're not really worried about all these values. We're really just kind of looking for the text that's going to be inside of it. You can kind of see it here. There's some inner HTML that contains both of them. So we're going to have to kind of figure out how to work through those guys. Similar to when we split out for lines, we're still going to want a for loop here, for I equals 0. And I, as long as it is less than schools.length, we'll want to keep going, I++. Let me take this console one out. So we should be looking at each individual school here, console.log schools sub I. We should get 3 of them kind of individually, 1, 2, and 3, with the tags that are inside of it. So what we need to do is we need to find those 2 values, of course. We'll want to create a variable var name and look at schools sub I, get elements F with an S by tag name, parentheses, looking for the name. And I'm going to throw that down on the console and let's take a look at what that is going to be. So hopefully this time, see, it's not quite what we expected it to be. There's still kind of name attributes inside of it. Still not quite what we want it to be. How about name.innerHTML? It is an HTML collection. So let's see if that gets us inner HTML. Oh wait, what am I thinking? Sub-0 inner HTML. Alright, let me just put name back up there again. Let me explain that probably a little bit better. See the brackets around name? Technically it is an array. It's still an array. So we need to find the 0th one. There's only one, so the 0th one would be the kind of the only one. In that case, there is kind of still a name tag in there. We don't really want the name tag itself. What we want is the inner HTML of that. So I was on the right path. I probably need to slow down. Try to explain that a little bit better. So there we go. That would be the actual text. So this guy's pulling the name out. We're going to want to look for sub-0 of that. And then if we actually want the name, that's inner HTML. So I should be able to take this back to name, and it kind of makes sense. There we go. So properly led through the document, each school looking at the name tag, the 0th one, we only know there's one, and then the HTML that's inside of it. In this case, it's still just like adding up the strings from before. So we're going to be kind of plus equal in a string a couple times inside the for loop. We're also going to want to pull out for the web, which is going to be kind of the same one, except we're not getting the name, we're getting the web. So same deal, href, target equals li on the front. Skip that part. Closing a tag, closing li tag. Inside the href, we're going to put the web there. And let's break this onto 2 lines. Just g out. It should be underscore blank. And then in between here, we want to put our name. So let's take a look and see how that works. And it looks like we're back on track. Still got our document down here, got our links embedded, reading through our XML document, and displaying the data that's inside of it. So it's still kind of a little bit verbose. The benefits of XML is that you can structure a document however you really want to. Lots of ways to do that. We'll cover it a little bit in labs as well. CSV, the problem is you can't really define your data a whole lot. I have to know that the name is in slot 0, and I have to know this is in slot 1. And it doesn't really give the ability for me to make, to relate data in a nested nature, quite like XML does. So that's kind of one of the benefits of it, even though read CSV might seem a little bit more straightforward, and read XML might seem a little bit verbose, especially with these get elements by tag name, and then kind of have the knowing to look at the, this is returning an array. Get elements by tag name returns an array. So we'll always have to know to look into the first one, but there could be more. Anyway, so that one was pretty neat. Let's try to do another thing. This time we're going to rename it and do this one with JSON instead. JSON. And we're going to follow pretty much the similar process here. I'm going to rip out this line and the for loop. And we're going to change the file we're calling is my json.js. And need to change here, read JSON. Well, it's the same deal. When the window loads, XML HTTP request, when the state of it changes, if it's a good change, then we'll log out the response from that. Now I'm going to change response XML back to the response text. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So look at my read JSON file. And we did get some data out down here at the bottom, nothing kind of in the page. So this is what JSON is. It's called JavaScript Object Notation. It's very similar to how I've structured the XML file, is that there's a sites object that has a school, and then school has 3 of those inside of it. So school is an object that has kind of 3 records inside of it. It's written a little bit differently from XML. But let me close some windows here. Getting confused. Read XML. That's not what I wanted. My JSON, my XML. Okay. So JSON can be converted to XML, and XML can be converted to JSON, and they're pretty similar. So it's just kind of a matter of how the information is defined. So we'll go back, and we got a JSON post down here. We got the text from it, but I don't think it's not really a JSON file. So one of the things that we'll need to do is we'll need to kind of parse this deal and make sure it is what we think it is. So we're logging just the text. Let's json.parse it and see what happens in the console when that happens. So when I did that, I've got an object down here. The object is a sites object. The sites object has a school object. The school object has 3 objects inside of it representing each school, and then those have a name and a website address. Kind of neat how the console can break down and show you the nested nature of objects in JSON. And when you're dealing with an API or working with big data sets, being able to drop down your JSON object onto the console and kind of explore what's available in it is very helpful. So this one actually seems like it might be kind of crazy with the way it's structured, but hopefully you'll see why developers really like JSON and why it can be a lot easier to work with than XML, and especially with complex data, more so than a CSV. So we've got the JSON parse down on the table. I'm going to make a variable for it to kind of just hold this part, make it a little shorter for me to understand. Once I do that, I want to pull out the schools, just like I've done before. Is find all the schools, and I'm going to do that by looking at the data, the sites object, and then the school object. So let's throw that down on the console and see what that looks like. Schools. Once I've looked into the data, found and pulled back the object here. So first object on the console is the JSON object. This, however, is the second print, and it's an object with, or it's an array with 3 objects in it, and each object is kind of a schools object, which is pretty neat. So I can go back and kind of use the same for loop we did before. For I starting at 0, I less than schools.length. As long as I have schools to look at, then I should be good. I plus plus. And we'll want to build up our string inside of here too. So that would be brain fart, plus equals list item, a tag, href, single quotes, new line to probably close those guys. A tag closes first, then li tag. Okay, so I want to get this school, schools, sub I, the school in the array that I'm looking at. I want to get its web address and stick it there. And this one I want to put the name in between, schools sub I dot name. Can kind of confer those through the object. I'm looking at this particular object. I'm going to pull out its name. I'm going to pull out its web. So, and that works. So I didn't put target equals blank on it, but it should have worked. So that's kind of one of the benefits of using JSON, is that it can be converted into sort of a data object that you can kind of call out by name and by value. Whereas in XML, we really just kind of had to read the document structure, get elements by tag name to kind of make that. JSON kind of can make it, kind of take that extra little bit out of it. So anyway, I hope this video is very interesting. I hope you enjoyed it, and kind of shows 3 different ways of reading external data and including it on a web page and kind of a pure client-side environment with JavaScript. There's a lot of ways that you can use JSON, XML, and CSVs and in server-side languages as well, not just limited to using it in JavaScript. But JavaScript is kind of one of the languages that can include it and use it and do that sort of thing. So JSON's a really interesting language to kind of mess around with and play with. There's a lot of APIs out there. There's a lot of JSON feeds out there. Even kind of US Census site has kind of looking at developers for Census Go's available APIs and stuff. There's just a lot of stuff that exists out there is going to be kind of in a JSON format. And if you kind of start this way and throw it down on the console, it should be able to parse it after you've used json.parse. It should be able to kind of see that structure and programmatically kind of read out of it and include it into your page somehow. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Have a good one. Bye.